If I said to you the word Jeep, what comes to mind? Maybe military, off-road, rugged, 4x4, utility vehicle. So what if I told you this is a front-wheel drive, fully electric, subcompact crossover SUV and Jeep's first ever electric vehicle? Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of, shall I do one of these? Lucy on cars. I'm actually a bit too short unless I go down here. Hope you're doing well. Today's video is going to be a review of this. You can't miss it, can you? I mean, they've really gone for it with this colour combo. This is a Jeep Avenger, which is a car Jeep have made since 2023. It's a rival for cars like the Nissan Juke, the Vauxhall Mocha, the Ford Puma. It's that kind of mid-sized, it's a bit higher up, kind of tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people, do everything all-rounder car, could be a good family option, I'm thinking. But yeah, I was quite surprised when I found out that Jeep did non-4x4 vehicles, because in my head it's like, I don't know, it's a Jeep, isn't it? It really surprised me that it was firstly fully electric and secondly front-wheel drive. But I suppose it is a sign of the times. It's the way the world's going and we're moving away from those like big V8s, 4x4 vehicles and into things that are fully electric. And I mean, maybe people don't need 4x4s as much in a more practical sense. Do you need four-wheel drive for the school run? No. Do you need four-wheel drive to pop to Tesco's? No. So despite its name and the brand's heritage and DNA, it seems they've kind of taken a more modern step towards the way cars and motoring are going. Whether you like that or not, I mean, you know I love a V8 as well. So very quickly, we've got three trim levels. We've got longitude, altitude and summit. Obviously summit being the top is the best, and that's what this model is here. So you've got things like the upgraded wheels, 18-inch wheels instead of the 16 or 17s, and a few other features. You get this gloss black front grille. You get a, I'll show you inside in a second, but the rear view mirror is like a frameless, it's a bit more luxurious looking, plus a few other features. But this car is knocking out 153 brake horsepower with a 0 to 60 of around 9 seconds. You can pick these up, I mean the petrol variant, about 25 grand is a base starting price, but the electric is another whole £10,000 more expensive. I mean, of course you're going to save money in it being electric and not having to pay for fuel, and obviously you're doing a bit for the environment and everything, but you'd have to weigh up whether or not you wanted to put the extra 10 grand into it and being electric, and if that would be worth it for you or not. So a very quick funny story. When I first drove the car, George was following me in the Range Rover and I couldn't stop laughing. And George was like, Lucy, why were you laughing the whole way there? Like, what are you doing? So I pull out, I go around a roundabout, it's quite a big roundabout, I've got my indicator on, turning round and round. And I'm suddenly like, has my phone just connected to Bluetooth and is playing, I don't know this song, what is this? Or is it some sort of welcome song from the car? You know, some cars sort of say, good morning, and it's like a welcome thing. So there's this music playing and I'm going, where is that coming from? Has the radio come on by accident? I couldn't figure it out. I come off the roundabout and go straight and the sound stops. So I was like, that was really weird. So I'm going along again. And then I turn down another road and it comes back. It's the indicator noise. Now, I have never known a car to make this noise when indicating. It completely took me by surprise and I could not stop laughing. It just really tickled me for some reason. So obviously you're used to a tick-tock, and then someone at Jeep's gone, you know what, guys, I've got this really good idea. Let's just like make it a beat. Like a beat that you can kind of like go along to. It's just this beat, like a little bit of bass, a little bit of, I don't know, there's a couple of notes there. I'll show you now quickly because honestly, it's just so funny. It just made me laugh. I'm not saying this as a positive or a negative. It's just like random. Like I don't quite understand the logic, but I also fair enough, like thinking outside the box. So I do need to turn the engine on, obviously. There you go. So that's what I mean. It's kind of like a welcome noise. So if we just indicate now, are you ready? It's like that, isn't it? It also sounds like the start of Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. It's like, how's it go? Actually, I'm not really a singer. So random. But I did find we were playing Radio 1 earlier and it had some sort of like deep bassy beat. It kind of merges with it. So it is kind of slightly harder to hear that you're indicating. You know, sometimes you're like, is my indicator on? I know you can see it and you'd know it was on. There's a light flashing there to tell you it's on. Well, it's not telling you it's on, like, it's just the indicator. This light here tells you that the indicator's on. No, that's hilarious. Obviously that is the indicator too. But yeah, this beat, like, it's quite good. Like, it's quite a good song. Totally bizarre. Like, I just had to get that off my chest because it's completely unique. I don't quite understand why they've done it. You can say that for a lot of things in life, and sometimes it's good to be different. I don't know, maybe they're trying to give Tesla a run for their money with their more unusual features. And then in terms of electric range, when you're fully charged, obviously this is like the max because it would depend on if it's really cold outside and how you're driving it. If you're doing heavy braking and fast acceleration, it's going to be less, but they say 249 miles. So now onto the drive, and the first thing to say is that we haven't got a gear stick, obviously because it's automatic. We haven't got a gear changer per se. We've got 4 buttons, if you come with me, George the cameraman. Drive/B, don't know what B is. What does B mean? It's on the screen right now. Then we've got neutral, reverse and park. So quite unusual, but I get it kind of works with the whole like electric modern side of the car. I like a proper stick, but it probably would feel weird to have an actual stick with a shifter in a car this new and with the sort of futuristic looks and things. I don't think I've mentioned it yet. You probably have already seen it. We've got the continued yellowy gold going all the way across here. I mean, again, good for continuity in terms of the outside matches the inside quite nicely. But like I said, the yellow isn't my colour. So if we had, I don't know, like a nice flat grey outside and that was grey inside, that could look quite cool. But it's quite nice that it matches. But anyway, so in terms of the drive, in terms of, off-road capabilities, we're not exactly anywhere crazy here, but it's a very muddy, bumpy field full of like, definitely front-wheel drive.
Are you trying to go forward?
I'm just going to come here. I'm literally just trying to drive up this hill and it's not going. That side out was quite funny, but then actually got quite stuck in the mud. We had to do a reverse. Thank God we're on a hill. Reverse onto the gravel and forwards again. But I know it's not 4x4. We said that. We know it's front wheel drive and we know it's not like a traditional Jeep like from years ago. But that did surprise me. It really... There wasn't any movement, it was just the front wheels were just spinning and that was it. That really was only a patch of grass with a bit of mud. I feel like our 3 Series would go through that, and that's rear wheel drive. That definitely surprised me. All I was trying to show you there was actually the opposite of what happened, because I drove up it to begin with, then we stopped the car, filmed, and then that's what happened. Before that point, I was going to say, it feels quite good on this, and because you're a bit higher up, it feels like a bit more capable than I was sort of expecting. But then obviously we got stuck in the mud, so I take that back. Anyway, so the drive, we've got, the heavens have just opened again. So we're going to drive through this incredibly narrow gap. Look at this, ridiculous. Does it look small on camera? It's so bizarre. It's completely overgrown here, and there's actually bollards either side. They're bright yellow bollards, so I might not see them, being the fact that I am yellow also. Yeah, you can see there, but there's also a bollard in there, so you can't go too far that side. But no, it's fine. I think we've gotten through that in the Range Rover, so we're literally fine. But anyway, steering wheel wise, it kind of reminds me of the Audi steering wheel with the flat bit on the bottom, but the chunkiness, I feel like I've driven a car with a chunky steering wheel like this. It feels very, almost like I want to beep it. It's like a really chunky horn. It looks a bit Jaguar. And again, the buttons are on the side, all quite nice feeling. Something that I've noticed is actually 2 things. We've got a positive and a negative here. So the headrest, it's really, really soft and spongy. So you could easily do like a nice long drive in there. Your back, it just sort of sits nicely. I don't know what it is. They're very sort of soft, comfortable seats that kind of fit around you quite nicely. The negative that I was going to say is about visibility. So the back's fine, the mirror's fine, like looking behind, absolutely fine. But looking forwards, in front of me, fine. But then when I look here, this gap between the bottom of the rear view mirror and this sort of display unit thing is really small, and obviously adding on top of that the high up bonnet, and that is the view you've got, so it's literally just that big versus obviously the huge view here. So that I feel could be a bit of an issue in some instances. Like earlier I was driving along and I had to look at something there and I had to like duck underneath to look under here, which annoyed me a little bit, but the rest of it visibility wise is absolutely fine. We've got 3 driving modes, so if we press this little button down here, it knocks between them. Oh, sorry, my bad. We've got a lot more than 3. I don't know where I got that from. I think I read something. So we've got Sport, Normal, Eco, Sand. Matt, for goodness sakes. Why didn't we go into mud mode? Okay, so maybe that was an unfair test on the mud back there. I do apologise. Horrible road to pull off on here. It's just like, it's a 50 mile an hour, but people are just doing 50. No one moves to the other lane if they see you coming out, so you're just kind of stuck. Here we are, someone's pulling in here so I can sneak out. Yeah, so let's do a little foot to the floor test now. Pretty, it's fine. It's not like slow, but my head didn't go back at all, and it took quite a while to get up to 45. But again, this isn't like a sporty car. That was in normal, so we're going to do it again in a second on the next roundabout in sport. So we're now in sport. We're going to see how we handle around this roundabout. It's raining, so I mean, I don't want to like throw it anywhere in this rain because we're not 4x4. Right, so we're in sport now. I'm going to put my foot down now. Ooh, blimey. That actually felt pretty quick. Obviously comparing it to the normal mode, it's really like quite sharp. Like if we, yeah, that's much better. So sport definitely makes a huge difference. So if I'm following it now, you really are like, that really throws you back in your seat. Very sharp brakes. The steering's very light actually. So you know here, look, I'm going around a roundabout. This is in my way. I couldn't see that car had stopped. Obviously I could see, but like it's a little bit in the way. It feels fine around the corners, but it's not like gripping onto the road particularly. It's just sort of quite like, I don't know, how do you describe that? Not wallowy. It's not as bad as that. It's just more like it doesn't sort of ground down into the road as such. Down into eco now and see. Yeah, I mean, as expected, performance and thermal comfort reduced. Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty slow now, and I wouldn't really want to be pulling away in that. It feels less safe. If someone was coming up behind you on a slick road and you needed to pull off quickly or go off quickly at a roundabout for whatever reason, it feels a bit less safe being an eco. So I definitely would enjoy it in sport the most, and that's probably where I'd have it most of the time if it was me. But then obviously you're going to be really affecting your range. The road position's pretty nice. Obviously you're higher up. I can't believe the indicator. I'm never going to be over that. It's hilarious. Road position, sorry, I'm back. Yeah, you're a bit higher up than you might be. See, this is actually really bothering me, to be honest. It keeps, when you turn, if you're turning and you're turning left, it keeps getting in the way of where you're going to be. Because when you're driving with your hands straight, of course it's not in the way there, but then when you're turning, that is where you want to be looking, but you can't see. I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing, but yeah, I'm like ducking down to look. See, I had to look over there on that roundabout to see if anyone was pulling out, and I had to do that to get to it. Maybe I need to put my seat down, maybe that's it, but I quite like having my seat as high as possible and being quite far back, so I've got this like overview with a nice view of the road in front of me. But anyway, sorry, road position. You're higher up than you would be, but you're not so high up that you feel ginormous on the road. It's very easy to drive. Like I haven't thought about what I need to do. It's very much a get in and drive car. It's pretty square, so you're good for things like parking it and squeezing between spaces. You don't have to like get used to the size particularly, because you can kind of see the front ends of the bonnet nearly, and obviously the back's quite flat as well. So you've got a lot of cameras and things to help you parking, but if you didn't have them, it would be an easy car to manoeuvre because everything's just sort of there in front of you. But yeah, overall the drive, I think, yes, sport mode's great. Having those other options for modes, I'm annoyed I didn't see it before. These modern cars are just good. Like everything is comfortable. The steering, oh, coming out, are we? The steering's nice and light, they're smooth, they're efficient, they're easy. So really, it's hard to find negatives. When you think about the sort of person that would buy this and what their needs would be, it's probably ticking most boxes. Anything like sort of fear, I don't know if that's the right word, but a lot of these cars feel so similar now that are they losing that kind of identity which makes them stand out. I mean, this indicator definitely stands out, so maybe that's what what the standout feature is. But yeah, I don't know, do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments. Do you think they're all quite similar now, or am I just saying that because I'm not used to driving such new cars that they all do feel quite similar, whereas the older ones are a bit more unique? Picture this. You've come out for a lovely walk in the countryside and you come back to your car to a flat battery. Fear not. If you're carrying one of these in your car, so I feel like I'm doing a nature documentary, you know, when they sort of like, you will be absolutely fine. This is the Wolfbox Megavolt 16. So this is basically a jump starter pack, but in my head, it feels like it was going to be something ginormous. Look how tiny and compact this is. So very small, very easy to keep in the car. This thing is incredibly powerful, small but mighty. It's got the capabilities to start cars, vans, even trucks. Have I got any truck drivers watching? Comment below if you're a truck driver. It's safe in all weathers, highly durable and water resistant, and incredibly easy to connect to a battery. Very easy to charge. You've got the USB-C or the regular USB cable there, and it's even got phone charging capabilities. And it's even got a built-in torch in case you get stuck with a flat battery in the dark. So there is going to be a link below if you're interested in checking it out. Thank you so much to Wolfbox for sponsoring today's video today and sending me this, because this is going to be coming with me in, I mean, I need to choose the car to put it in. What car is most likely to have a flat battery that we own? Let's be honest, probably the Range Rover. So shape-wise, I mean, I feel like I look rather ginormous next to the car. Maybe again, because I'm used to having bigger and driving bigger cars. But if we just have a look together, because I've got this microphone where I can face forward so you can still hear me. It kind of just looks like a car, like a bigger car that's been shrunk down. I mean, I guess Jeep have got other models, it is effectively just that. I also kind of reminds me of something you'd have, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but it kind of reminds me of a little, like a Lego car or something. And because it's kind of chunky, and it reminds me of an Evoque a little bit, this back bit here. I mean, like the smaller size, the little handle here and like the way it's sort of straight along the back, and I quite like that section of the car. And I also quite like the grille at the front. I know the black glossy grille is the upgraded version, but as well as the LED headlights that you get on this trim, performance LEDs, it says along there. And actually these silver lines around here, it's a little bit of like a bit BMW electric looking as well, I think. It kind of reminds me of that, but yeah, it's almost a bit Lego car. And I mean, the colour's probably adding to that as well, isn't it? It's the yellow and it's the brightness and the sort of chunkiness. It's a nice chunky car. Just talking about the colour quickly, I mean, George followed me over, or I followed George, we were driving together, and it's definitely a car that you're not gonna lose the person you're following in, because it's so bold and it's so bright. It's kind of like, I mean, it's not sunny, so it's hard to show you fully, but it's a bit metallic. It's like a kind of yellowy goldy with a tiny bit of, not green, but it's not like a bright yellow. It's like a duller yellow that's still bright gold. Great description. For me personally, I wouldn't get this colour. I like black cars, white cars, grey cars, silver cars. If I had, I don't know, some sports cars look amazing in like bright red, bright yellow, but I think it has to be, for me, a certain car to do that. I've never been like a bright car kind of person, but obviously they've got loads of other options, so you wouldn't have to pick yellow if you were thinking of buying one. But equally, if you like yellow cars, there you go. Why are you saying that? Thanks, George. George just said behind the camera, oh, you do ramble. You're like, are you the one commenting that on the videos?
It's all me.
It's all you, saying, God, poor George, gosh, she does waffle, doesn't she? Yes, I do.
I got 17 YouTube accounts just commenting.
Yeah, it's all you. You are my hater. So yeah, we've got the upgraded wheels. So they're kind of, again, they look quite electric-y looking, with the black and the silver, kind of two-tone wheels. Quite like the big bolts there. I mean, that's quite normal in car wheels, but it just looks quite like, again, like Lego chunky. It's Lego, I think that's a good way to describe it, isn't it, Lego? It's almost like, you know when you get those kits when you're a kid, and it's, what's it called? And you like build stuff with nuts and bolts, and then you've got the long silver things like that, and they've got holes in, and then you choose where the screw and the nut go, where the bolt and the nut goes, and you like make things out of it. I remember making like a digger. It just reminds me of that, kind of like kids' construction toys. This is quite classic Jeep, like the plasticky trim here, Jeep embossed on it, makes it feel a bit more like it, actually it makes it look like it's got off-road capabilities, even though it is front-wheel drive, so it kind of gives a nod to its heritage there a little bit. And then, oh, Car of the Year 2023, didn't know that. It's funny, it looks like the glass will come off there, but it doesn't. Here's the boot. I mean, it's not ginormous, but equally it's big enough to put your shopping in and a couple of suitcases, or a couple of suitcases. Another little bit underneath there of storage. So how are we going to do this today without hitting my head on here? Okay, that's fine, we'll bend in half, no problem. So size-wise, rather spacious. No, it's quite like actually quite a narrow boot, but it is a smaller car. In my head, when you look at pictures of it, it's big, but the reality is it's quite small, even though it is a bit higher up. It's like the BMW X1, it actually is a pretty small car, even though it looks bigger because it's higher up off the road. But yeah, the boot's fine, enough space in there for, well, there might be enough space, I don't know what you need it for, but, oh. God, it's a bloody soundtrack, this car, hasn't it? It's like a lorry reversing. That's highly dramatic, but quite good, because I feel like you have hit your head on a closing boot before.
I have.
You have done that, haven't you? I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at George above you. I'm not just doing it to everyone watching. You've hit your head.
And an opening boot.
And an opening boot. So actually, very safe. Little chargy flap here. I mean, charging option wise, I think there's so many things out there these days that would give you that information. I'm not completely clued up on electric charging because we've got our hybrid, we plug it in our house. I assume you could do that. So you can, one of those connectors is the same, so you can just plug it off the wall, but we've not got a fully electric car, so we don't need to charge it out and about like with a proper charger at like charging stations and points and stuff. We just do it overnight off the house. But anyway, it does lock itself a lot as well, I have noticed that. Oh yeah, quickly, while I've got the key in my hand, quite a nice chunky key, big Jeep letters on there. Something I don't like so much about the key is how big the little pictures are, which you're probably thinking, why do you care? Why is that relevant? It kind of reminds me of those phones that have got really big numbers to help people that haven't got very good vision. I don't know, this is one of those random things that I've picked up on, but yeah, it's quite a nice key. And then in the back, I have heard there's not much leg room, but let's have a look. So George was in the passenger seat a minute ago. Oh, it's okay. It's fine. Maybe I'm used to our 3 Series, but it's literally fine. George is pretty far back there. I think that's absolutely fine. It's not like a big car in the back, but it's all right. It's not bad at all. There's no sort of a centre armrest or cup holders or anything, but obviously there's 3 seats along here. You've got your little ISOFIX points down here, but I think that's pretty standard now. You have got a little charging point here, but it's a USB-C, so the modern way. All good back here, no complaints. And then into the front, I mean, I've shown you this already, but just to go through a few more bits. This is funny. This reminds me of, you know those iPad stands that hold your iPad? It's kind of like that. It's that little metallic kind of leathery thing. I think it's quite a neat little way to do it. I mean, I'm not very good at it, but yeah, it's a good amount of storage space. Fits like a little bag. That, I believe, is an electric phone charger, which is good. And you've got another 2 charging points there, a USB-C and a USB, as well as a 12-volt plug. But a lot of storage. So again, you've got another cup. I guess that's a cup holder there, but just for one cup, it seems, which is quite... Oh no, look, come and see this. Cameraman George, you're not doing a very good job today. It's actually a personalisable, never seen this before, cup holder. So I guess if you had a cup that was ginormous, it would still fit, versus a little one. That's quite cool, having the option to like change your size. I've not seen that before. Often you'll have a cup holder and you just think, oh, that one just doesn't fit in it. I can't take that in the car. But this one, you can change. You've got more storage in here, which goes all the way down there, so pretty deep. And then I suppose you could call, yeah, this is storage as well, I guess. Depends how messy you want your car to look. I wouldn't want to put loads of bits in there, but technically there's storage along there, which reminds me slightly of the Defender, like the openness of this little shelf area. So what else do I like about the interior? I like that it's got buttons. These buttons along here, they're quite nice, sort of like little push down buttons. We like buttons. We don't like touchscreen as much. We like actual things that do things as opposed to things that you hover your hand over and like magic things appear. So that's a pro for me. The actual screen, if I pop back on again, is touchscreen, and it's fine. Like, it's quite a neat looking screen. I actually think it's a lot neater than the Volvo screen we had, which felt a bit more like a kid's tablet. I think I said it was like this kind of long shape. This feels a bit neater and nicer. Is it turning on, or do I need to put the engine on? I didn't think I would. Come on.
I thought you did.
Do you think it's loading, or is it? Oh, blimey. It's a little bit slow, okay. But yeah, it's easy enough to use. You've got your usual stuff on there. And you don't actually have navigation as standard. You have to pay to add it. But you probably wouldn't need to because it comes with Apple CarPlay. So you can just have Google Maps from your phone on there, which is the route I'd want to go down anyway. The actual like reverse cameras and sensors are really good. That was one thing I was very impressed by. As you reverse, it's got one of those views where like a bird's eye view from above, so you can literally see the wall you're backing into, and you can see exactly how much space you've got, as well as any parking lines and stuff. So that's a really handy feature. And I just think if you're looking for like a newer car that's got the tech and it's got things to make your life easier, I suppose, then it's definitely a good option for that. I like this little area down here, the fact that it's pushed backwards and it kind of feels like it's in its own little box and it's easy to see. And I like the big number for the speed, the very obvious battery percentage you've got left and your mileage left. So yeah, there's some really nice bits there. The start stop button's quite nice as well. It's all got quite a nice feel to it. And this was the rear view mirror we were talking about, so it's like really thin around the edge, which actually reminds me of, what does that remind me of? Hello, is that me? Hello. I just like that it's much more narrow around the edges. It's just sort of a bit more seamless and it feels a bit more luxurious again. Also, if anyone can tell me in the comments what this is about, I just spotted a little boy here with a telescope sat on my windscreen and I'm not sure what he's doing there. So if anyone can shed some light, that'd be great. It actually does remind me in quite a few ways of the Volvo XC90 you borrowed, obviously a smaller version, but some features and the way the car drives and the feel, and as you pull off, I know that had a huge amount of brake horsepower, so I'm not comparing it speed wise, but there's some things about the feel. Maybe it's just because it's another sort of electric or hybrid, the Volvo, but that kind of feel. And even the steering wheel actually feels exactly the same sort of texture material wise. In terms of picking one of these up on a lease, I was having a look and they're available for I think £6,000 deposit, which is fairly hefty. I don't really agree with putting in huge deposits on leases when you're not actually going to get that back. I know it reduces the monthly payment, but I'd rather have a higher monthly payment and no deposit. But that's just me personally. And so yeah, 6,000 deposit, 339 a month. So who is this car for? You may be wondering, or not. I want to tell you anyway. In my opinion, this car is perfect for someone who wants a modern car with the tech, with the reverse cameras, with the Apple CarPlay, the fact that it's electric, with enough space, not too much. It's not a big car. It's not a big car to manoeuvre around. It's not a big car to park. So you've got the positives. I'm just going to put my window up, no offence. You've got the space inside. It feels fairly spacious, and you've got a good amount of space in the boot and stuff and storage, but it's not so big that you can't park it in small tight spaces. You can easily take it around town and not worry about the size. I mean, I don't really worry about the size because again, I'm used to driving bigger cars, but for someone who was driving a small car and then went into a Range Rover, they'd be like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Where do I park it? Because it is ginormous and probably too big for us realistically, but we like bigger cars. So obviously it's not the quickest, 159 or is it 153? No, 150. I've read two different things. I've read 153 and 156 brake horsepower. So we're going to say around that. It's not got the most speed and obviously it's not 4x4. So there's some people this wouldn't tick the box for if you like sort of fast cars. I mean, it pulls away fairly nicely and it feels safe when you're pulling fast off roundabouts, but it's not a thrilling driver's car, but that's not the audience it's aimed at anyway. So I'm not saying that as a negative. You wouldn't be sort of comparing this to, I don't know, our blooming 911 sat on the driveway at home. Like it's completely different. Someone that was buying this probably would hate our 911 because it would be like really hard ride and it would be not very fuel efficient and quite old inside and it's a 23-year-old car. It just depends what you're in the market for. I think this is a very good option out of the competitors. I feel like this is probably the nicer looking of the options, personally. Comparing it to, I don't know, a Vauxhall Mocha, I think this looks a lot nicer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. A bit different for me. Usual services will resume on the channel shortly, but when a manufacturer does get in touch and offers a car for the week for me to drive, and I don't know, I love cars. Like it doesn't have to be the fastest car. I just like experiencing it. And now when I see one of these driving down the road, I'll go, oh, I know exactly what it's like to drive that. Yeah. Even if this car isn't on my list of cars I want to buy, it's still, I don't know, it's fun to experience, and I'm glad I've had it for the week and gotten to know it. And yeah, like I said, if you're a car person, it's not necessarily all about speed. It's about what the current technology is coming out and it's about what cars look like today. I think it's just interesting for me. Anyway, history and fact lesson over. And hopefully if some of you are watching this video and are thinking of buying one, it's helped you. I think I've gone through a fair few positives and negatives in my experience of the car. Obviously it's only my personal opinion and I probably am fairly biased towards V8. That's my bad, I suppose. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think of the car. If you've got one, what are you laughing? Oh, I thought you were laughing from the corner of my eye. Are you straining?
Yeah, I mean,
he's holding the camera like this. You can put your head up. Like your head doesn't need to be.
I need to see the screen. Producer George in the back here is struggling. I've got the hard job.
Why are you shouting?
So I can speak into your microphone.
Yeah, but they probably could hear you like going. Anyway, comment below if you have got one, if you've had one in the past. Must have got rid of it very quickly if you had, because it only came out in 2023. If you're thinking of buying one, would it be on like a business lease as well? Is it quite like a business lease car? I don't know, maybe. Or if you don't care about Jeeps and have got nothing to do with them, but you watched anyway, let me know. Why are you watching this video? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, hopefully it's helped you if you are looking to purchase one, giving you some facts. I mean, I'm not running through every specification of the car as some channels would, but I hope I've given you a real life, everyday experience with the car in my, thank you everyone for saying it, waffly ways. So yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you very soon in the next Leasing on Cars. Goodbye. What is this? What am I doing with my fingers today? I'm all like spark. Is that indicator that set me off? Wait, let's do it again, just to end the video. But it's also like, sort of that thing, isn't it?
Give it to Taylor Swift.
No.